My name is Sarah Prawley. I teach at Caldowes High School in Latimer, Iowa, and I teach high school social studies and have done so for the past 16 years. The learning activity that we videotape today is a sociology diversity project. We have a unit on diversity in our sociology course, which is the overall unit. Within that unit, then we learn about stereotypes, we learn about cultures, culture traits, norms, different types of racism, ageism, sexism, and different types of diversity problems that we have to experience and deal with in society. This project came out of a brainstorm in that our school does have the facilities and the technology, both the hardware and the software, to bring some of those discussions to life and actually have contact with other students. And maybe from a rural standpoint, we don't have a lot of diversity in our school. It gives them access to schools that do have more diversity. The goals for this particular activity are twofold. One is the technology goal of having the students learn different types of presentation techniques and incorporating a variety of software programs into one major presentation. The second goal is curricular in nature, and it's to provide students with access to a wider variety of diverse students and diverse schools, maybe what they would normally experience beyond rural Iowa. As far as this activity, it fits into my course outline about midway. It's a semester-long course, and this happens to fit right about in the middle, right between third and fourth quarter. And with that, we were able to do a lot of the technology background information early, and that was kind of a hit and a miss between chapters in the process of other curriculum. And then as we laid the foundation for the coursework and the background information, some of the historical information as far as stereotypes, culture traits, diversity, and its advantages and disadvantages, then it allowed me to implement and just kind of plug in existing framework that we had. So it actually fell fairly nicely in waiting on the curriculum until a little bit later. The timeline on this particular activity, I stretched it out over the semester, which you're looking at about 5 months. That timeline could be shortened to a degree, and I think it could be shortened for the next time that I did this. Being the first time, I wasn't real sure what I would run into. One of the places that you need the extra time is the communication going back and forth between the schools. I have taught diversity before when I taught sociology previously, but I have never actually done this particular project. And the way it came about, my students and I were visiting one day, and we were talking about the possibility of going and visiting other schools, meeting other students, and actually talking to them about what they have for diversity in their school, what programs exist to help any kind of conflicts that might occur, or what celebrations they have to celebrate diversity in their schools. Time-wise, though, we didn't have that much time to travel. In order to meet a large number of students in a variety of schools, you would have to take several days and a lot of miles. This ICN conference came out of a brainstorming session with them in that, why don't we do an ICN conference? We can limit it to an hour. The great ahas are, the hardest part, I think, for a teacher on this is their expertise is far beyond mine, and you really have to be willing to say, okay, do what you need to do. You really have to have a lot of faith. I chose this particular teaching strategy for a couple of reasons. I love the technology, and I love what I do, and it is so amazing. I think the technology kind of evens the playing field for students, and I like to see a student who might not be engaged all of a sudden take off and take the lead on a project. And with the makeup of this particular class, it was just it was almost as if it was meant to be. With the students that ended up in the class and the technology minds and the creative minds, there was a nice blend of organizational skills, which is required on a semester project to stay organized. The group itself had a nice mix of organizational skills, technology skills, and the motivation to learn that would keep a project, a long-term project like this, moving in the right direction. I chose it so I could learn more, and that the students would learn more as well. It's just a different way to do it. A few of those components that were probably highlighted that would be beneficial would be, one of them I guess would be the fact that the students had direct access to the information. It was very hands-on learning. And as they were teaching it, not only did they have to know it well enough to do it, they had to know the information well enough to teach it. And then by actually having access to multiple machines and sitting down and do it, that is a real strong point. Another thing would be probably the giving up the control and letting them have ownership in it and take control of the classroom and being able to sit back and say, tell us what you know and what you want us to know. And that's probably a strength in this. The collaborative group work. It was reenacted a little bit in that this was not a typical day. We were picking and choosing different parts of the semester project. It's nothing we had done before, so it was not rehearsed, it was not a reenactment, but I tailored the actual taping so that I incorporated a little bit of everything that occurred over the semester.